Dragon's Rising Season 4 has been the center of the debate within the Ninjago community. Of course, with every new season or release, people will have different takeaways on the quality, the reception, on every single aspect of what we actually get to see. And popular opinions will of course begin to form. There will be the common consensus on every given topic when it does come to Ninjago, but not everyone agrees on every single topic, and that ultimately has come to the term of hot takes. And on this channel, I absolutely love to discuss hot takes because I do think it's one of the most interesting discussion pieces because it covers topics that not a lot of people actually get to see. So I do think it is very important when it does come to certain opinion pieces when it does come to Ninjago. And like always, I made a channel post asking for your guys' hot takes, and you guys more than delivered. So in today's video, I have 8 hot takes to go over, but I will say, if I didn't pick yours, I am very sorry. I did read through all of them though, and I had a lot of fun, so thank you to each and every single one of you. But these are the ones I picked out for today, so let me not waste any more of your time, and let's look over some hot takes. Our first hot take for today is coming from Supersonic DJ. Hello my friend, and your hot take is that this season should have been where Frack and Wildfire had learned Spinjitzu. This season sets up an over-reliance of the new ninja on their powers, and while yes, it's an arc that we've seen before, it would have been nice to see the new ninja learn new ways to cope without their powers, especially in the form of Spinjitzu. And I definitely agree with this one. Honestly, I'm shocked that this is a hot take. The writers of the show before now have discussed the opinion when it does come to other characters learning Spinjitzu, and they've always come to the consensus of they want to limit who can do Spinjitzu because they want it to feel special and unique to the ninja team. But the thing is that with the introduction of Frack and Wildfire, and also Aaron and Sora who do know Spinjitzu, you realize that Spinjitzu is almost a rite of passage now. It's a way to signify that they are part of the team, and I do feel like Frack and Wildfire should have access to that ability. It will make them feel more official, make them feel more like a part of the fold. I really do think it's something that should have been done within this season because like you said, it does make a lot of sense. I do think it's something that I hope they approach down the line, but at this point I'm honestly questioning if they will, because after this point in time there may not be another opportunity to do so. But I do agree with you, I do think it's something that they definitely should have leaned in on, but unfortunately they didn't. But yeah, I do hope they learn Spinjitzu one day, so I definitely do agree with you here, Supersonic. Thank you very much for sharing your hot take, and yeah, I definitely agree with this. Our second hot take for today is actually going to be coming from friend of the channel and Ninjago Wiki team, Trainer Kane. Hello my friend, and yours is Lloyd's trial arc is the best Lloyd storyline since season 1 and 2, even better than the Oni trilogy. The focus on his inner conflict through such a symbolic medium is way more relatable with an Asian audience and was highly profound in a way that we haven't seen in a very long time. Finally took inner conflict past shallow basic dialogue and facial expressions, and I'm gonna be honest, I never really thought about it until now, but I definitely do think I agree with you here. As much as I do love Lloyd in the Oni trilogy, and I definitely do think it's one of the best eras for Lloyd, I definitely do think this one does beat it out. I definitely do think exploring Lloyd at such an inner level is honestly a lot cooler than what we got in the Oni trilogy. I love what Lloyd gets with Harumi, his father, I love all of those aspects, but this one does just feel a lot more special, and I do think will be something that is cited as the most important moments of Lloyd, and also just the aspects that came along with it, the different versions of Lloyd that we got to see, how it adapts Lloyd's power. I really do think it did a lot for him here, and honestly, I'm starting to think that it's even better than season 1 and 2. I think this season definitely did take advantage of Lloyd here, and I just really love it for that. So I definitely do see your point, but I think it may even be better than season 1 and 2. But I would have to see how that feels down the line, because that may honestly be recency bias. But I do think on an overall, I do agree with you, Trainer. This is definitely a good one, and I'm very glad that you did comment. So thank you very much, my friend. On to the next one. Our third hot take is going to be coming from Ninjago B6J. Hello my friend, and you have 2. The first one is that Zeatrix should have helped the ninja against Beatrix in the finale. And whilst I do see a point, I do think I'm gonna have to disagree here. As much as I understand where you're coming from, and it definitely would have been fine to have seen, I just don't think it would have been a character that we needed to see here. I don't think Zeatrix is overly needed for the Beatrix story. Of course there is relations between the two, and there are some things that you could approach with those scenes, but I just don't really think she was necessarily needed for the plot here. I don't think that she is over needed for the Imperium storyline, and honestly, she's kind of just done what she needs to do in the grand scheme of things. So whilst I do understand what you're on about, and I wouldn't have minded it, I don't think it was necessarily needed. The second one was we should have seen everyone's reaction about Jay getting his memories back, and not just Nia, Kai and Cole. At least give us a group hug or something. And yeah, this is honestly one of the biggest ones that I'm very shocked at. I don't know if this is necessarily a hot take, but yeah, I agree with you here. Yeah, I am definitely very shocked that they didn't put more emphasis on the fact that Jay had his memories back. Like you said, they did do it with some of the ninja, but I definitely was expecting a reaction from Lloyd and Zane at the very least. I mean, even the new ninja, they've had a certain rocky relationship when it does come to Jay, so you would expect them to have some form of reaction to it, but ultimately they don't. But I definitely do think at minimum it should have been Lloyd and Zane. I like what we did get, but it did feel a little bit disjointed because of it. We still got some absolutely fantastic scenes, don't get me wrong, even after the point. I love the scene of Jay and Cole fighting over the game controller, but yeah, I definitely would have had more if I had the option to do so. Ultimately, I'm not overly pressed about it because it kind of just is what it is, but I do think it should have been something that was included in the scenes itself. So, I do agree with you on an overall. So thank you very much, Ninjago. B6J, I really did like these ones, so thank you very much. Our fourth set of hot takes are coming from HD Ninja MS Brick Studio. Hello, my friend. And you have three. Your first one is that Umbra Sylvis plot was amazing and really elevated the new ninja. It's often overlooked and downplayed, but in my opinion, it was one of the best parts of Season 4. It gave Frack a great story with his dad and allowed him to bond with Sora, over while Wildfire just continues to be great, taking a kind of leadership role, and lastly Ryu's upgrade and all the emotions behind it was great too. Another great aspect of this plot was that it only focuses on one elemental monster, making the mutation monster, who is basically a random lackey, really threatening and intimidating, unlike the Forbidden Five. By poisoning Ryu alongside all of that gives us a great action and really nice horror vibes. Lastly, Umbra Sylvis is a really cool name, and the design is really unique even after all the other locations that we've had in the last 15 years. Yeah, I definitely agree with this one. Beyond me messing up some of the words, I definitely do agree with what you've got here. I do think Umbra Sylvis was a very interesting location that we do go back to at some point. It definitely does have some potential to it, and I'm just hoping they take advantage of that. But yeah, I do like the fact that all of the new ninja definitely did have their moments to shine. It's a shame that Aaron didn't get anything because he wasn't there, because he does feel like the least developed of the new ninja in the season because of this plot. Like I said, I have a new appreciation for Frack, Sora, Wildfire, Ryu, all of them. I think they all definitely did have their own role that I really did appreciate. So, I agree with your first one, thank you HD. Your second one is that the Draconis form suits are some of the best Dragon's Rising suits we've ever gotten. They all look really nice and go very nicely with one another, while also being unique in their own way. Truly is a shame we didn't get them for the new ninja. And again, I completely agree. Dragon's Rising as a whole has definitely been very consistent in terms of its suits. I don't think we've necessarily had a bad one throughout the entirety of Dragon's Rising, but these ones definitely do feel like a standout. They feel the most big, the most intimidating looking. I just really like what they've got going for these outfits. So I definitely do think what you said is kind of hitting the nail on the head. They all look great together while also feeling unique. And you do have the other variants of them as well with the half mask, so that's also a nice new benefit. So this is just another one that I'm going to have to agree with, because yeah, and also it would have been cool if we did get them for the new ninja, but there's always hope. We may get them one day, but who knows. But yeah, I like this one. And the last one is that all of the plots in Season 4 are equally strong and had great stuff going for them. And again, I completely agree. I think all of the plots were extremely solid and definitely did have their own aspects that are fantastic. I do think, bar some pacing issues, it's just a very nicely balanced season. It feels like every ninja got their moments, it feels like everyone had their time to shine, so I'm definitely not against this being the overall opinion. I hope this isn't a hot take, because I definitely do agree with this one wholeheartedly. But hey, if we have the hot take, then so be it. But thank you very much, HD. These are some great hot takes, and I definitely did agree with them. Our fifth hot take for today is coming from Xenomaster28. Hello, my friend. And your hot take is that aside from Lloyd, Kai, Zane, Cole, and Jay's Draconis form should have been changed so they're the dragon forms from Crystallized. And I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I think I'm gonna disagree with this one. I do get what you mean, and it definitely would have been a cool way to bridge those designs over, but fundamentally, Dragon Form and Draconis Form are completely different. Dragon Form from Crystallized is a prophesized form from Quanish the Elder. They are designed specifically to take on the Overlord and the Crystal Army, and they act in accordance with them, whereas Draconis Form is the byproduct of Lloyd's powers connecting to the ninja. They are a different move set and a different skill set, and they just aren't compatible in any ways. And also, just strictly on a design basis, having 4 of the ninja be completely different from the rest of them, I just don't think would have made a lot of sense. So whilst I do understand what you're saying, I just don't really think it would have translated all that well. But I do understand your point, and I do think people did want that, but I just don't think it would have been something that would have panned out all too well. But thank you very much, Xenomaster. I do appreciate the hot take. Our 6th hot take is going to be coming from Bring Ninja Back. Hello, my friend. And your one is, the whole ninja lose their powers arc is an overexhausted trope. And you go through a history of all of the time where the ninja or an individual ninja actually did lose their powers. And so you said that so with Dragon's Rising, the ninja's powers being unstable because some source dragons bailed is just another writing plot to limit the ninja. But honestly, I see your point, and I agree with it at a base level, but I think this instance is just a little different, so I do think I'm gonna have to disagree. Yes, the ninja losing their powers is definitely something that we do see a lot. It's something that they definitely did resort to in a lot of instances within Ninjago. But the thing is that Dragon's Rising hasn't approached that subject. It hasn't really gone down the route of losing power. So it does feel like it's something that they haven't really done in a while. You point out Crystallized, for example, and of course Nia does lose her powers there, but in terms of all of the ninja losing their powers, it isn't something we've seen in a very long time. The thing is as well is that they are just unstable and limited. The ninja do utilize their powers, but they actually do find themselves having different ways of fighting their enemies, and they do actually get their powers back in a lot of ways because of Lloyd. So I do think it's a fairly unique way to do the concept, and I do think it makes sense in the grand scheme of things. But I do understand what you mean. Them losing their powers is something that we do see a lot, and it definitely would be cool if we just got more consistency when it did come to the ninja. But honestly, I don't mind this plot, and I do think they did do it fairly well. So on an overall, I will be disagreeing, but I definitely do get where you're coming from, so thank you very much. I did like this one. Our 7th hot take is going to be coming from Aceaway 2029. Hello, my friend. And your one is nice and simple and to the point. Zane becoming more human annoyed me because of how it was inserted. And I agree, but also I'm not really mad at it. I made a video recently about how Zane is definitely a lot more human in this season, and I talk about how I really do like it, and I do think Zane on an overall is definitely on the right path when it does come to his characterization, his personal development, and just overall his place in Ninjago as a franchise. But I do agree with the idea that the fact that it had to happen off screen is just kind of a net negative. I appreciate that they did explain how it happened, and they talk about how Pixel influenced him for it, but it is just something that should have been on screen. It should have been something from season 3, it should have been something that we actually got to palpably actually get to witness. But unfortunately, we don't. But the way I've seen it is at least we got actually Zane becoming better in the long run. As long as they continue with it, Zane will actually be a lot better moving forward. So as much as I don't like how they did it, I just like the end product, and that is just the way that I see it. So I agree, but also I'm just not really upset. But thank you very much, Aceaway. This was a good one. And this brings us on to our final one for today, which comes from Dumb Seal. Hello my friend, and your hot take is that you hate the J plot. I don't like how cooperative he is with the ninja, especially considering that his goodness should be shattered. They made such a big deal about how a shattered goodness is almost impossible to fix. It just kinda spits in the face of season 2. And I definitely understand where you're coming from here, and to an extent, I agree. Again, this is another one that I've made a video about. I've definitely become worried about Jay because it does feel like he has lacked consequence. It does feel like we've skipped over a chapter and we don't really know what's going on with Jay moving forward. But the thing is that as long as they do relatively explain it away and actually give some sort of reasoning, I'm honestly not too upset. Yeah, I don't like how cooperative he is at the start of the season. Like I said, it feels like we actually got to miss something that was off screen. And they do still imply that his goodness is shattered because we do get to see moments where he actually does depict it, but it does feel like the Jay aspects of him are just completely shining through, so maybe they're not going to cover it anymore. So like you said, it does to an extent feel like it is spitting in the face of season 2 and also season 3 for that matter, but I just hope that they actually do show that there's some form of consequence. I'm assuming that the Jay plot isn't over all that yet. If it is, I will definitely reapproach the subject in the future, but as of now, I'm going to hold out hope that they're actually going to be doing something with the character. So I agree with you, as long as they actually do actually have something to do with it. If they don't, then yeah, it's a completely different subject. But thank you very much, Dumb Seal. This was also another very good one. But those are all of the hot takes that I have selected for today, and I would love to know your opinion on them. I agreed with some and disagreed with others, and I would like to know where you stand on these as well. And like always, I would love to know what your hot takes are when it does come to season 4. It is definitely an interesting discussion piece, and I do think there's a lot more that we can cover, so I want to do another one of these soon. But of course, that is only if you guys want it. So let me know what you think, and I will be sure to get back to it soon enough. But apart from all of that, thank you very much for watching the video, and I do hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider subscribing. I love discussing Ninjago with more people, and if you do want to support the channel any further, which you do not have to, you could always become a channel member and join the legends that you see on screen. Each of you, your support means the absolute world to me, and I cannot thank you enough. But besides all of that, thank you very much for watching, and take care. Okay, bye!